Hello students, I'm back to complete the introduction to nested loops. This is the part 2 video and I'm going to complete the numbers table program, and let's go to Xcode where we were in the part 1 of the video. Okay, so you remember basically we have a loop which of course right now is not an inner loop, but it's going to be, so we are going to consider that it will be an inner loop. So it creates a table of number 2, see, and logic of this is very simple. In the first iteration of the loop, this is the initialization of inner loop. This is the pretest. This is the loop task where I'm outputting one of each these lines for each iteration of this loop, and this is the update of inner loop. Okay, so we were successful in creating a table for number 2. So now we know it works correctly. Let's say we want to create tables from number 2 to 10 for the children to memorize. We just need to wrap this inner loop into an outer loop with initialization, correct initialization of the outer loop tasks, and outer loop update. Now, if I want to create number table from 2 to 10, this initialization of outer loop is already correct. Of outer loop. But since this inner loop, I'm going to kind of reduce the space here. This inner loop works correctly for number 2. We want it to work correctly for number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 as well, if I'm printing number tables from 2 to 10. So that means this task I wrap into an outer loop which should run for number 2 to 10. So for number 2, we already see that it did 10 iterations and created this. So then we can have it do the same thing for number 3, 4, 5. So we are basically going to wrap this loop in outer loop where number should be less than or equal to 10, because we want to make sure that it works. And here I get rid of this one and really wrap it here, and I can kind of just pick that piece of code and tab it. Oops, tab didn't work, sorry about that. It does work in Windows, but it didn't work here, but I can still do it though. Okay, so don't do that. So I have the initialization of the outer loop. Its pretest is same numbers starting with 2, going up to less than or equal to 10. But I still need an update of the outer loop, which should be done over here after the inner loop has exited, and that's number plus plus. And I do want to do one little thing in addition. So really in this part, outer loop does not really have a task. This is the update, but I do need one task to be done. That when I want this number table to be printed, I want them separated somehow from each other. So I just put one task for the inner loop, which is just separate them using these asterisks. Okay. All right. So notice I taught the computer how to do the number table for 2, which was this code and that code. Notice I can't wrap the whole code in outer loop. I need to pick a portion that I should. That's where your experience as a software engineer will come into play. And this is not a blind process. You need to pick and choose the code that you want to repeat subject to some certain conditions. So this is really the code that we need to pick and choose and repeat subject to the outer loop. Okay. And as you do more and more loops, nested loops, this process will become clear to you and more automatic to you. There's no formula. You can't cram anything. It's just code experience, code experience. It's just building upon a base of experience, actually. So once you have perfected the inner loop, at that time it was this code and this code. We have to judiciously decide which part of that code that we perfected for the inner loop has to be wrapped into the outer loop. Pick the outer loop pretest. In this case, the initialization of outer loop didn't change. And one loop task, and this is the update of the outer loop condition. This is a very small loop, small program, but it does show us the basic principles of how to design, code, test, and perfect outer loop. Of course, I have not run it yet, so let me run it and show you that our results will be what we expect them to be. So this is outer loop task, and of course inner loop itself is outer loop task as well, but that you can do separately and perfect it. Okay, so let's save the file and run it. Okay, so once again the fonts are too small, you can't see it here, but I am going to just copy and paste the code that we did get into Xcode. And you'll see it's all there. Okay, so we were able to create number table from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, we can make certain modifications to this program, and I do have some time here. So I could show you the modifications, and let's see how am I going to do that. I don't want to cannibalize this code. I want to keep it as it is. You could actually ask user input, like from which number to which number they would want the number table printed. That would be a very good modification. Let me just rename this as main1, and I'm just gonna write another main here. And the reason I can do that, once it is renamed as main1, it's no longer the main function. It's just some other other function, and that's fine. And really all I need to do in order to modify this code, okay, take user input for the range of number table. Okay. So this is actually pretty simple modification. I declare basically two numbers, int lower. Always initialize. You cannot add error in the side of low initializations when you do loop. Always good to error in the side of let's say one more extra initialization, whether you need it or not. It's better to make error in that direction. Int higher equal to 0. So these are the limits. We'll create number table from number lower to higher. So first we take the user input for the lower side. So cout enter the lowest number whose number table you need. Cin lower, and then we get the input for the higher one. Same way. Up to higher. And then it's actually really very simple. Actually, I should check whether lower is indeed lower than higher or not. So if lower is higher or equal to higher, we will not do code in that case because wrong range. Okay. Wrong range specified, and exit 0 in that case. We really don't have much to go on in that case. Otherwise we're okay. Otherwise we do this outer loop while lower is less than or equal to higher. Sorry. Here's my update, lower plus plus, and then I just need to copy my inner loop and this outer loop task, and here, and I just need to change this one, lower, and I did lower plus plus. So yeah, this should work now. So now we, okay, I think I'm missing return 0 here. Return 0, and I'm going to go offline just to make sure it compiles and come back. Okay, so back again, and this does work. I'll show you. And this console is small, sorry, but if you go to higher full screen, so it asks me the lower number. So lower number, let's say, is 4. Higher number is, let's say, 13. So it should give me a table of 4 to 13, and it does actually. Okay, hold on a second, I did it twice actually. So here it is. So this is my output right here. Okay, I'm almost out of time here. And you can see that it did print number table from 4 to 13. Okay, so we can customize this to any numbers that we want. So this is the part 2 of Introduction to Nested Loops, and I'm going to see you very soon in the video where we are going to do student grading program as a nested loop. Thank you.